This is going to be a weekly recap from the 27th of February to the third day of March. And this was my first red week in, I guess, yeah, actually in 2 weeks, but this one wasn't really that big. It's been a while since I had a red week as big as this one. And the lesson for this week is to simply trade all the setups that look good, and that will help me avoid fear of missing out, trading setups that are crap, because I keep seeing setups that work and I hesitate on trading them, and then just frustration overall, which just could affect the way I trade on all the other setups that are good. So a very big lesson, and it all happened with this first day right here. Only 5 trades, and it ended up being a red week because of this big sell right here that didn't go in my favor. It just lasted a minute. Just picked a setup that wasn't good because I just kept missing setups that were good this day. And then I jumped in on this one that failed absolutely. If I maybe traded the setups I took, into consideration, I might not have traded this one because this was just a FOMO trade. Let's go ahead and go over the trades. Only 5 trades for this week, starting with CFRX on the 27th. Yeah, nice crappy sell-off candle day. And I think this one did not have a good long-term history chart, but I'm not extremely sure. What I am sure is that this one was a pretty toxic stock, but I could have done much better with it. And there were some setups that I could have traded with this one, including the inverse head and shoulders here, the second higher low, and then I ended up trading this ugly big red candle that wiped me out. I was in at 1102 at 566, and this setup really didn't work out. This was move towards resistance breakouts. 1102, 566. So I was in it right here before the big ugly candle. And why? Well, first of all, I don't like how this was a move towards a resistance level, which was roughly this 570-ish level. This is something that I should only trade, and it varies with certain stocks, but this was one where you can see how wicky it is. In the breakout level was 570. I shouldn't have traded it when it looked like it was going to make a move towards the breakout level, because you could see it did it here, it failed, it did it here, it failed, it did it here, it failed, it did it here, and wasn't able to regain itself after selling off. So I should have only have traded this one if it actually were to have broken the level, and then not just break the level because it's such a wicky thing. Break the level and then actually open and close some new candles above the breakout level. It did break the level here just briefly, and then it sold off. Super toxic move, but at least I learned from it. I got out the next minute at 514, and then this one was very unfortunate because I sold right here all of it at 514-ish, and when it was starting to work, I was trying to sell just a portion of my position, so I was changing the quantity in the order entry box. And what happened was is that when it started selling off like it did right here, I didn't have the full position in the quantity, so I wasn't able to sell everything at once when it was immediately looking bad. And I think my resistance level was this level right here, 547. I could have lost a lot less if I took into consideration the speed key I had. A few things could have been avoided altogether this entire trade if I didn't FOMO. So I did do better, I think, towards the rest of the week, but that one was a pretty big, nasty lesson, and it was the first time I actually had a setup that got anywhere close to my dollar risk level, which is $20 right now with listed stocks. Let's look at CDIO on the 28th, and that's a good thing that, of all the setups I've traded, that's the first one that actually got to the risk level. I'm not sure what percentage that is, but that's really good. This is the day right here, lots of volume, nice gap up, and the 28th is going to be this day right here. I was in at 939 at 344, and this was a morning VWAP hold. So 939, 344. 939 was, let me just bring this further back. Right here at 344. Why did I get in this? Well, again, nice gap up and everything, and I like how it sold off and then it tried to regain itself and sold off again, but this time it dropped towards VWAP, and as you can see, just had like a little wick there. So once it was starting to look better, I got in it right here at 344. I would have cut the level if it were to have broken under VWAP. And ideally, it makes a move towards the highs and maybe tries to break the day high and then continue the run, especially because it's still early in the morning and there can be plenty of momentum behind that. Also, a really nice short squeeze for people who like shorting gappers. I was out 942 at 353. That was my average. So 942 was right here. 353 was my average. So I got out roughly right here at 942. Let's see if I have any notes. Nothing else other than the fact that I had a trend line and I sold maybe not as well as I could have. And that maybe it made a move under the trend line, so I cut it, but it would have been better in this situation if I were to just waited unless it actually opens a candle past the uptrending trend line, which is officially breaking it, like confirmed completely, and that would have helped me because it is wiki. So the idea with that is that I had this uptrending trend line, and I sold a position right here under it because it broke under it, but because it's wiki, as you can see here and here and here, I could have considered something where maybe it makes a move under my trend line, but I don't sell unless it opens a candle under it, which would have been the case right here, and maybe I would have had just a slightly better average and I would have been a little more profitable. Let's just see what it would have been if I sold at 352 for an example, which I guess isn't going to really help that much here, but I think I sold a lot at the very bottom of this level, so maybe I would have had a better average, which I guess wouldn't be in the 350s. But let's just see what 362 would have been, because that was the idea with that. Could have doubled my profitability there. Definitely something I need to keep getting better at, because I want all my trades to be like that. Not something that if it just breaks under the trend line amount, but something that actually breaks it because it opens a candle under it. Very rarely does a stock just break the uptrending trend line because it's working and then just completely sell off and not be a wick and just have a huge downtrend. That's very rare. Let's look at BRTX on the second. And CDIO did have a nice setup here. This was my birthday, so I didn't really trade anything, but I was looking at the markets. I just hesitated, probably a little annoyed from what happened on Monday, but yeah, that's how you make lessons. Right here, the second day, another gapper. I was in at 936, was also out the same minute, and my average was 364.51. This was a morning dip under VWAP, so 936 was way back here, right here, and I believe I was in at 364. So the idea was is that it has a gap up and all of that, and has a bit of a sell off, finds a bottom, and then I'm in it because it looks like it's trying to rebound and then maybe get above VWAP and then try to regain itself and break this $4 round number and continue the uptrend. And I'm in it for that reason at 364. Maybe I saw the wake here and it just looked like it was going to maybe ideally immediately bounce back and this just be nothing more but a wick. I got out the same minute, however, at 357. Very bottom right here, or almost the bottom because I guess 356 was the absolute lowest, but I got out because it broke under my risk, which was a day low, that being 361. This one ultimately broke it, but it didn't really downtrend that much more, and then it tried to rebound itself here, but it did drop one more time, not breaking this wick and actually doing the thing I wanted it to do. And I mean, this wasn't really nice. It did break it, but it didn't do something with many candles until this price action right here. So it kind of worked out, but not when I was in it for sure. And yeah, that was a good attempt. Not all setups are going to work out. Let's look at 939. Although there's one thing I want to know. If I see this happen a lot, where a setup just breaks my risk level, and it doesn't really downtrend that much more, especially being the day low, and then it, tries to rebalance stuff, I should be probably more interested in doing something like that. Even though this one had like another sell-off, it never broke the level. That's something I do want to get better at. It's kind of annoying when you don't nail the exact moment when it does it. It just breaks a little lower and then it works out. But I also need to be careful with something that just continuously keeps selling off. So that's why trend lines are very important. And maybe I could have tried to set up again when it maybe, I guess, breaks this one immediately, right? Or maybe a better trend line could have been this. Maybe something like this, right? Which also kind of broke out of it. Yeah, that seems like a better trend line. That's something I can keep doing in the future. I just want to add a little bit more to that trade. What I can do to get better. And I guess any of you who are watching this, you can try to see for yourself if it plays out in the setups you try to take. Let's look at ONCS on the second. Second is going to be here. Okay, so this one actually is uptrending, more than just one gap up. I was in at 939 at 277. This was a morning VWAP breakout. 939, another one way in the morning. Right here at 277, which is kind of high. And this was a VWAP breakout. So yeah, you can see this one sold off. Something similar to the other stock, although this one actually broke the day low instead of just like getting near the wick. And then it turned around, as you can see, this one, did just break the risk level a little and then play off. And that was the only dip, after it broke it before it worked. And I'm in it at 277 with that in mind. Kind of a bad entry, but I guess I was at least in the setup. I got out at 941 at 270, I guess 280. 941 is when I got out. Right here at 280 was my average. Yeah, very ugly move, but if I had a better entry, it could have been much more profitable with this one, even though it didn't really break the level of 289 or 290 all that well. It just touched it a few times and it eventually sold off, although I guess I had a wick right here. Yeah, pretty interesting. There is something I need to know here. It looks like I didn't sell my last piece well because I didn't have a trend line. So the issue is that I was in the setup and all, but I wasn't following a trend line, which means when it was doing all this wiki price action, I kind of felt uncomfortable and maybe I sold a large position at a rather low point. And if I were to have maybe had a trend line, I would have sold immediately once it opened this candle right here past the line. And then I could have had maybe a better entry and, not under, but slightly above VWAP and then it exits. So maybe I could have had just a much better average overall and maybe have been a bit more profitable. I guess let's just see what a sell at 284 would have been. It would have helped a little, but it didn't really work all that nicely anyway, but definitely could have done better with my trading. Not just the entry, but the exit. But sometimes if it does break above VWAP, as you can see with this big green candle, it just kind of jumps. It's not like it breaks above the line and then it keeps uptrending and I'm just in at a really bad entry. Sometimes it breaks it and it just jumps. That's also something to take into consideration. Let's look at CYTO on the third. This was a brief try with this stock. A little too sketchy. If you look at the video I made on the third, I go over why I was really hesitant on trading this one and how that one helped me from not losing my shirt because it just sold off. It didn't do anything nice, as you can see right here. Pretty cool video. Lots of good lessons. I'm not going to go over it here in detail, but it is explained thoroughly there. I was in at 943 at 439, and this was a morning range low dip buy. So 943, 438. All right, 943 was right here. Let me zoom in some more. It's probably better like that. 943 at 438. Why was I in it? Well, it kind of just opened, traded back and forth, but then it started to work. As you can see, it broke above VWAP and then it uptrended a bit from the 449 level as high as 490 with it, which is a wide range. And then it just sold off so quickly and harshly with this volume, and even though it did it, it never broke the day low, at least not including pre-market price action, which was 427. So when it did the drop and it was looking like it was trying to rebound, I got in the high 430s, thinking that it could just be a wick and then it can regain itself above VWAP and continue the uptrend some more, and ideally break the day high and then, squeeze some more shorts and it can be a super nice profitable setup instead of a short. But there were just too many things going on with it. It was a bit of a trade that I didn't feel too confident in, and I got out of it pretty quickly for that reason. Um, Ideally, I could have shorted the stock if I had the money, and I do have money that will sit in a short selling account with Schwab until I have to use that to pay for taxes. So as long as I don't do any stupid shorts, I should at least have the ability to short and be profitable. I did get out the next minute, 944. I hope that's not like a foreshadow. 944 at 438. Right here. I got out because I thought it was just going to be a wick, right? Where it just starts to regain itself, opens a new candle, keeps going, breaks above it, and uptrends. As you can see, it did eventually, but it wasn't immediate. I didn't like how I started to continue the trade near the low, and it just felt like it should have just done it right then and there. This just made it really uneasy, so I got out at 438. So I was in and out basically at the same amount and just lost 20 pennies. That was a good try, but I guess if it were to have maybe have done it, like if all of this didn't exist and it did become a wick and it just regained itself and maybe this thing opened a bit higher like where it closed. Let's just see what a sell at 464 would have been. Okay, so like a 5% move, and that's not including the fact that it got to the fives, which would have made that super profitable. So yeah, I was kind of on the right track, but again, too many things made it sketchy. If it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, like it did here, I sell, and I think that's fine. That's pretty much it. I just need to take setups that work out, and not be hesitant. I think I do have a folder with trades that I missed, and I'll try to find it just to go over it a little bit. Here are some of them. I don't record all of them, but these were a few, and let's try to find the ones that were recent. If I have any. No, I guess I don't have any. I thought I were. Yeah, I had one right here on the first day of March, so I guess we'll just go over this one, but this was something that I was looking at, so the break past VWAP, and this one, as you can see, really worked out. And then I shouldn't have considered a sell until it opened past the uptrending trend line like it did right here. This could have been something where I'm in at like 224 and I'm out in the mid to high 240s, and then that could have been profitable. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this weekly recap. Um, don't miss out on setups so you don't have FOMO trades. That's all I got.